Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
The time at which something is supposed to begin. Make up for. His skills offset his opponent's superior strength. A natural consequence of development. Structure where a wall or building narrows abruptly. Compensate for or counterbalance. Offset deposits and withdrawals. A plate makes an inked impression on a rubber blanketed cylinder, which in turn transfers it to the paper. A compensating equivalent. A horizontal branch from the base of plant that produces new plants from buds at its tips. Cause, printed matter, to transfer or smear onto another surface. Create an offset in. Offset a wall. Produce by offset printing. Offset the conference proceedings. Serving to begin. The beginning canto of the poem. The time at which something is supposed to begin. The place where something begins, where it springs into being. The Italian beginning of the Renaissance. The act of starting something. He was responsible for the beginning of negotiations. The event consisting of the start of something. The beginning of the war. The first part or section of something. It was a dark and stormy night, is a hackneyed beginning for a story. The time at which something is supposed to begin. An academic exercise in which diplomas are conferred. The act of starting something. The fielding position of the player on a baseball team who is stationed at first of the bases in the infield, counting counterclockwise from home plate. Indicating the beginning unit in a series. Serving to set in motion. His first, or maiden, speech in Congress. Serving to begin. The first verse. The time at which something is supposed to begin. Ranking above all others. Was first in her class. Prominently forward. The lowest forward gear ratio in the gearbox of a motor vehicle, used to start a car moving. The first element in a countable series. The first of the month. Before anything else. First we must consider the garter snake. The first or highest in an ordering or series. He wanted to be the first. An honors degree of the highest class. Highest in pitch or chief among parts or voices or instruments or orchestra sections. First soprano. Preceding all others in time or space or degree. The first house on the right. The time at which something is supposed to begin. She knew from the get-go that he was the man for her. The time at which something is supposed to begin. A start given to contestants. I was there with my parents at the kickoff. Football. A kick from the center of the field to start a football game or to resume it after a score. The time at which something is supposed to begin. The time at which something is supposed to begin. Get off the ground. Who started this company? Bulge outward. The time at which something is supposed to begin. They got an early start. Begin work or acting in a certain capacity, office or job. Start a new job. Get going or set in motion. We simply could not start the engine. A line indicating the location of the start of a race or a game. Have a beginning, in a temporal, spatial, or evaluative sense. Prices for these homes start at $250,000. A signal to begin, as in a race. The starting signal was a green light. Bring into being. A turn to be a starter, in a game at the beginning. He got his start because one of the regular pitchers was in the hospital. Set in motion, cause to start. The U.S. started a war in the Middle East. Take the first step or steps in carrying out an action. Who will start? Begin an event that is implied and limited by the nature or inherent function of the direct object. She started the soup while it was still hot. A sudden involuntary movement. He awoke with a start. Begin or set in motion. I start at 8 in the morning. Have a beginning characterized in some specified way. Leave. Move or jump suddenly, as if in surprise or alarm. She startled when I walked into the room. The advantage gained by beginning early, as in a race. With an hour's start he will be hard to catch. The act of starting something. Play in the starting lineup. The beginning of anything. It was off to a good start. The time at which something is supposed to begin. Declare null and void. Make ineffective. Make up for. A notation canceling a previous sharp or flat. Remove or make invisible. Make invalid for use. Cancel checks or tickets. Postpone indefinitely or annul something that was scheduled. Cancel the dinner party. Put in motion or move to act. Cause to burst with a violent release of energy. Make up for. Provoke or stir up. Set off great unrest among the people. Direct attention to, as if by means of contrast. I set off these words by brackets. Leave. Set in motion or cause to begin. A part of a forked or branching shape. He broke off one of the branches. Any projection that is thought to resemble a human arm. A branch of the sewer. Grow and send out branches or branch-like structures. A natural consequence of development. Divide into two or more branches so as to form a fork. A division of some larger or more complex organization. A branch of Congress. A division of a stem, or secondary stem arising from the main stem of a plant. A stream or river connected to a larger one. A natural consequence of development. A natural prolongation or projection from a part of an organism, either animal or plant. The gradual beginning or coming forth. A natural consequence of development. Structure where a wall or building narrows abruptly. Structure where a wall or building narrows abruptly. Compensate for or counterbalance. Oppose and mitigate the effects of by contrary actions. A plate makes an inked impression on a rubber blanketed cylinder, which in turn transfers it to the paper. Contrast with equal weight or force. A weight that balances another weight. Adjust for. Equality of distribution. A compensating equivalent. Oppose and mitigate the effects of by contrary actions. Football. The player who is carrying, and trying to advance, the ball on an offensive play. Fish of Western Atlantic. Cape Cod to Brazil. A baseball player on the team at bat who is on base, or attempting to reach a base. A horizontal branch from the base of plant that produces new plants from buds at its tips. Someone who imports or exports without paying duties. A long narrow carpet. A person who is employed to deliver messages or documents. He sent a runner over with the contract. A trained athlete who competes in foot races. Device consisting of the parts on which something can slide along. Someone who travels on foot by running. A horizontal branch from the base of plant that produces new plants from buds at its tips. Be oriented. The weather vane points north. Sail close to the wind. Repair the joints of bricks. Point a chimney. Any of 32 horizontal directions indicated on the card of a compass. He checked the point on his compass. Be a signal for or a symptom of. Her behavior points to a severe neurosis. A specific identifiable position in a continuum or series or especially in a process. A distinct part that can be specified separately in a group of things that could be enumerated on a list. The main point on the agenda was taken up first. An outstanding characteristic. His acting was one of the high points of the movie. A V shape. The cannibal's teeth were filed to sharp points. A contact in the distributor. As the rotor turns, its projecting arm contacts them and current flows to the spark plugs. The dot at the left of a decimal fraction. Direct into a position for use. Point a gun. Indicate a place, direction, person, or thing, either spatially or figuratively. He pointed to the empty parking space. The property of a shape that tapers to a sharp tip. The gun muzzle's direction. He held me up at the point of a gun. A V-shaped mark at one end of an arrow pointer. The point of the arrow was due north. An isolated fact that is considered separately from the whole. A point of information. A wall socket. An instant of time. At that point I had to leave. A very small circular shape. A row of points. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. Give a point to. Intend, something, to move towards a certain goal. A punctuation mark, placed at the end of a declarative sentence to indicate a full stop or after abbreviations. A brief version of the essential meaning of something. Get to the point. A distinguishing or individuating characteristic. He knows my bad points as well as my good points. A geometric element that has position but no extension. A point is defined by its coordinates. A linear unit used to measure the size of type, approximately 1/72 inch. A promontory extending out into a large body of water. They sailed south around the point. A style in speech or writing that arrests attention and has a penetrating or convincing quality or effect. Be positionable in a specified manner. The gun points with ease. Indicate the presence of game by standing and pointing with the muzzle. The dog pointed the dead duck. Mark, a psalm text, to indicate the points at which the music changes. Mark, Hebrew words, with diacritics. Mark with diacritics. Point the letter. 1% of the total principal of a loan. It is paid at the time the loan is made and is independent of the interest on the loan. Sharp end. He stuck the point of the knife into a tree. The object of an activity. What is the point of discussing it? The precise location of something, a spatially limited location. She walked to a point where she could survey the whole street. The unit of counting in scoring a game or contest. He scored 20 points in the first half. An instant of time. A wheel that regulates the rate of movement in a machine, especially a wheel oscillating against the hairspring of a timepiece to regulate its beat. Mathematics. An attribute of a shape or relation. Exact reflection of form on opposite sides of a dividing line or plane. The seventh sign of the zodiac. The sun is in this sign from about September 23 to October 22. Harmonious arrangement or relation of parts or elements within a whole, as in a design. In all perfectly beautiful objects there is found the opposition of one part to another in a reciprocal balance. A weight that balances another weight. Equality of distribution. Something left after other parts have been taken away. He took what he wanted and I got the balance. Astrology. A person who is born while the sun is in Libra. Hold or carry in equilibrium. Bring into balance or equilibrium. She has to balance work and her domestic duties. A scale for weighing, depends on pull of gravity. A state of equilibrium. Be in equilibrium. Compute credits and debits of an account. Equality between the totals of the credit and debit sides of an account. The difference between the totals of the credit and debit sides of an account. Bring into balance or equilibrium. Bring into balance or equilibrium. Bring to a chemical stasis or equilibrium. Bring into balance or equilibrium. A phenomenon that follows and is caused by some previous phenomenon. The magnetic effect was greater when the rod was lengthwise. Of a law, having legal validity. The law is still in effect. Produce. The central meaning or theme of a speech or literary work. An outward appearance. She retained that bold effect in her reproductions of the original painting. Act so as to bring into existence. Effect a change. An impression, especially one that is artificial or contrived. He just did it for effect. A symptom caused by an illness or a drug. The effects of sleep loss. A phenomenon that follows and is caused by some previous phenomenon. He acted very wise after the event. A special set of circumstances. In that event, the first possibility is excluded. A phenomenon located at a single point in spacetime, the fundamental observational entity in relativity theory. Something that happens at a given place and time. A phenomenon that follows and is caused by some previous phenomenon.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.